So Bernie Sanders did a town hall on Fox News where he discussed a lot of his plans, and there were several things that I really wanted to talk about. This first was you had all these Democrats that shamed Bernie. How dare he go out in Fox News of all places and give some sort of town hall? But Bernie was right. You want to reach different audiences, and even if you're someone who despises Fox News, you would still want to go on there. For example, if I won office, I would still go on places that would traditionally challenge me, like I'd be interviewed by the New York Times or CNN, MSNBC, etc., because you're trying to reach other audiences. You're not just talking to the people that agree with you, you're trying to talk to other people as well. So you could argue with them and be combative if you want, but it does make sense for all the Democrats, I think, to go on places like Fox News because there are potentially people that are in the middle or on the fence that may end up voting for them. So strategically, it makes sense. Also, I think Trump makes a huge blunder because he came out and was like, oh, why is Fox News hosting Bernie Sanders? Who cares, Mr. President? Fox News isn't your organization. Just because they're the only ones that give you a fair shake most of the time doesn't mean that you control them, and they should give everyone a fair shake, which I honestly think, even though I don't really like the overarching of any of the mainstream media, including Fox News, I think that traditionally Brett Baer, who's the one who does kind of these town halls, has been very fair to people, Republican and Democrats, challenged both of them, and given them an opportunity to speak their mind, which is a good thing. Now, there's a couple things that are worth talking about that came out of this town hall, and I'll focus on just two of them. The first is the idea of when Bernie talks about Medicare for all, the crowd, which is supposedly a politically diverse crowd, according to Fox News, though I have no idea of knowing how they chose the people that would be in the audience. They seem to cheer for this. And this is something, even though I'm not for Medicare for all, I understand that it does have some political power behind it. Our healthcare system is such a mess. I think everyone agrees with that. And at least this Medicare for all seems to be a potential solution to it. I think it'll be a nightmare. I think particularly for young people, just like Obamacare, what this will be is you're checked. You're now going to be paying about 50% in income taxes, and you rarely use medical facilities right now. You rarely have to use insurance. And so you're going to be the people, young people that are already struggling economically. They're going to pay the brunt of this because you're going to be paying now half of your income for a service that you're barely using. But certainly there will be people that benefit from this, people that are right now having trouble paying their medical bills. So it's a massive redistribution of wealth, which I'm against. I think that there are better free market approaches, but I can see how this could be a political winner for someone like Bernie or for other people in the Democratic Party. So the Republicans better get smart and come up with some sort of alternative, which I think there are a lot of free market solutions that could be able to solve this better than Medicare for all. But if they just punt, I think healthcare is going to be a win for Democrats. So Bernie, at least this audience seemed to be for, and that's something that should strike Republicans and get people out there that believe in free market principles coming up with better plans. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this was kind of the crux of my video, is you've been seeing elsewhere that Bernie released taxes and that he's admitted now to being a millionaire. And some people were giving him shade for this, and as they should. This is another example of constantly what you see in the progressive side and these leftists, where they constantly tell you what you need to do, tell other people they're immoral, and make massive changes in their life, say that the government should have massive influence and change over their life, while at the same time avoiding all the consequences of that for themselves. So you could take almost every issue that they're very serious about. For example, let's take immigration. I'll be doing a video on this today, but they're for basically open borders and allowing all these illegal immigrants, but they don't want them in their neighborhood. Or climate change. You look at someone like AOC or people like Al Gore or Leonardo DiCaprio that are all about climate change, but they fly on private jets and they leave a bigger carbon footprint than any of us. And it's the same with socialism with Bernie Sanders, where he's saying, millionaires, they need to pay their fair share. They need to do this. They need to do that. But we find out he's a millionaire who has several houses, drives fancy cars, and he could voluntarily pay more. He could give more to charities. He could pay more in taxes voluntarily if he wanted, but he chooses not to. So Martha McCallum and Brett Baer, who are doing this town hall with him, Martha McCallum says, basically, Mr. Sanders, you had the option to give more money. You're a millionaire. Why haven't you given more money? And Sanders' response is, why didn't you do more? Why didn't you do more with charity? Well, that's not the issue. She rightfully points out, well, I'm not the one advocating these tax plans. And Brett Baer says, and she's not running for president. Both of this is what's right. Look, yes, could all of us, someone could stand up on judgment of everyone and say, everyone should do more for, all people. Yeah, you could make that claim, but my claim has always been, if you're going to demand that the government redistribute wealth or demand that the government force people to take actions, then at the very least, before you make that demand, you yourself can make those sacrifices yourself. But we constantly see it's the exact opposite. The very people that are constantly out there saying, you need to do this, the government needs to tax more, the government needs to stop you hurting the climate, the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that. They're the people that are engaged in the biggest carbon footprints. They're the people that are making the most money, etc. And so it is hypocritical of Bernie, and that's what becomes upsetting, because we constantly see these narratives where they're better people, they're the more moral people. No, forcing the government to take wealth from other people to pay for people you want doesn't make you moral. That makes you a hypocrite, especially if you're one of the people that are accumulating this massive amount of wealth. Why is it with the socialists that it's always the person making $1 more than them is immoral? They themselves, Bernie's not immoral, him being a millionaire, he even said, oh, since when's it a crime to write a good book? I don't know, ask AOC. She's the one who said that having a society where we have people accumulate this much wealth is immoral. That's your people. That's people that are in your progressive wing. So you're the ones out there saying anyone who's a banker must be immoral. Anyone who makes all this money must be immoral. But when you make the money, oh, no, I worked hard. I gave people a product they wanted. I wrote a book. That's right, Bernie, you did. That's capitalism. You're entitled to that money because you didn't force anyone to buy your book. They willingly did it. But what's absurd is when you then pretend to have the moral high ground, you could be helping poor people right now. You don't need those millions to live. You don't need multiple houses. You don't need fancy cars. You don't need to fly on jets everywhere you do. But you choose to. And so for you to say, oh, it's okay for you to do that, and somehow that we need the government to enforce that others don't do it, is ridiculous. And it proves the hypocrisy. It's just another in a long line of hypocritical statements from progressives and from leftists. Now, again, not everyone is hypocritical like this. There are individuals I know that are against climate change that are doing their best to limit their carbon footprint. But leave them be the people that are championing these policies and not hypocrites like this, because what it shows you is when we give these people the power, if they win and they get these seats of power, then it's going to be a two-tiered system where they'll continue to do what they want. The extremely wealthy and powerful won't be affected by it, and it'll be, as always, the poor and the middle class that are paying the brunt of it. We'll be the people that can't own vehicles. We'll be the people that have to pay 50-60% of our money so we could barely afford to live, to do anything entertaining or buy groceries and things like that, so we could have Medicare for all. It's never Bernie. Bernie could right now, I'm sure he personally knows people that are struggling with healthcare costs. Yet instead of helping them, he decided to get another house. So at the very least, we could have these arguments about policies, and that's fine. I like having the arguments about policies. But let's stop pretending people like Bernie Sanders are more moral. It's hypocritical is what he is. If he's demanding I pay more, but he makes way more than me and refuses to pay more, then he's a hypocrite. So, hey, if you like this video, I'll be putting out more. Please like and subscribe. Maybe recommend me to some other people. And I'll be putting some more content out today and the rest of the week. So thanks, everyone, and have a good one.